Welcome back to our course on HTML5 for beginners. So in the last class we talked about our web browser and we installed it together, right? So this time around we'll talk about the next tool we'll be using, which is text editor, right? So I've already explained to you what a text editor is from our previous classes. Okay, so let's just get on to installing our text editor. Okay, so back to your browser, and this time around you might want to use the Firefox developer tools that we've installed already. Myself, I prefer using Chrome to download. More like it's my favorite browser. Okay, so on now when you get to your browser, now type search for VS Code. Okay, you can just type it here at the search bar or over here. So this page gets open. Okay, then you have to click on this link. So check the link very well, code.visualstudio.com. So when click on this, it should take me straight to the home page of Visual Studio. All right, so this is where I find myself. All right, so down here we have different versions of Visual Studio Code for different OS. All right, we have for Mac, we have for Windows, and we have for Linux. All right, so is either you click over here on this down caret, I think that should be a chevron, and choose an OS, or you just click the button. It will automatically detect the OS you are working with and guide you through it. Okay, so you can take your time, come down here and read some of the features of Visual VS Code. By the way, we'll be talking about these features at the course of our study. Things like the IntelliSense, the run and debug, the built-in JIT, and the extensions. All right. So, but the first thing to do now is to install this software on our machine. So just click on this button and get it installed. So once you have it installed, I won't be installing this one with you guys. I believe that by now you must have gotten used to installing software on your system. All right. So okay, or maybe I would have to do that with you guys. So but the major thing for now is install this software on your machine. You can pause the video and install it, then continue with us. Okay, over here the version I have downloaded on my system is version 1.65.2. all right, so the current version as at when I am recording this video is version 1.67. so maybe by the time you'll be seeing this video in the future, there might have been a higher version. So but there is no cause for alarm. It's just still the same procedure in installation, although if there would be some changes, it would be slight changes that you can easily work around it yourself. All right, so let's get on to installing this software over here. So like we did in the last class, you either double click or you right click, then go to open. So you see I already have this on my system, so I would need to close it, all right, so that I can be able and uninstall it so that I can be able to do this with you guys. So while you keep running the software, I'll do that on my own end. Okay, right now I'll have to right click, go to open, then license agreements. Of course you have to accept. If you don't, that means you aren't ready to use the software. But it would be nice if you read through these license agreements to understand what Microsoft is actually trying to let you know. And by the way, this software is owned by Microsoft, right? So you can just go through this down here. I think it shouldn't be more than 20 or 15 minutes of read time. So you can go through it, then click on next. So there are a couple of options there over here. You can just leave them out, but then you might want to create a desktop icon for this. Now add open with code action to Windows Explorer. So most of these options here add open with code action to Windows Explorer directly, context menu, register code as an editor for supported file. We have to with as time goes on, you see how useful some of these things are. But this one is very much required. You should have this also. All right. So then pretty much what you have to do is just click to add this to your desktop as a desktop icon if you want to. Then the next thing you just have to do now is to hit the installation button. All right. So since I've already installed these on my system, I wouldn't want to do this. Okay. So you can just do this, and once your installation is complete, you can come back to the video. So this is what our Visual Studio Code looks like without a tab open. All right. So I believe that since you just installed yours, you would be getting the get started tab on your screen. Okay. So now we'll go through some important functionalities on VS Code that we need to set up first, then before we talk about some other important things also. All right. So the first thing is we'll go to extensions. Remember, we talked about extensions from the VS Code site. I showed you some of the features, and we talked about extensions. So I showed you this. I told you that we'll have to deal with it when we start off. Okay, so now to get to the extensions, you click on this icon over here. All right, so it brings you here. Now the reason why I have two segments on mine is because I have already installed some extensions on mine, and these ones are the recommended ones now. So these are recommended extensions for me, but then I already have the ones I have installed on my PC. So I'll be taking you through the extensions you'll be needing. So the first extension that we'll be needing is a live server, right? So this will really help us in working and seeing the result of our code simultaneously at the same time, right? So we don't have to be jumping from our text editor to our browser. All we just need to do is to arrange our text editor, as you can see here, and our browser side by side. And with the help of our live server, whatever we do on our server here will be reflected on our web browser over here. All right. So that's why we need this. All right. So this is very, very useful. It helps us from it kind of saves us the time we would have spent in moving from one screen to the other. All right. So now when you get here, as you can see, these are the ones I haven't installed, right? So to install this live server on your PC or on your text editor rather, your VS Code, should see this install button down here where you have this settings icon. See install button there. You either click it or click on the app, then on the list here, then come over here and click on install. So what I have here is uninstalled because I have already installed this app. So this live server was developed by Retweak Day. All right, see they already have 21 million downloads, and you can see the rating. This should be around 4.5 or so, or 4.4. Okay, so and the version I'm using is version 5.7.5. So it might be a higher version by your own time. All right. Okay. So you can still go down here to check out the features and some other tips on this. All right. So but we won't be going through all those now. Okay. So when you are done with this, the next extension we'll be looking at is Prettier. So we'll be needing this Prettier later on during the course of our study, because it will help us organize our codes. Okay, it also help us in organizing our codes in HTML. All right, you get to color variations. Okay, you can see that from the icon. It gives color variations to different aspects of your code, different color variations for your properties, for your tags, and the rest for your text also. So that's why we need Prettier. It's a kind of give us that feel and look while coding. All right. So the same way we install the live server, we can still do the same for our Prettier. Then the next one we need to install is the bracket pair colorizer. All right. So this one is deprecated. So you have to look for this. This one is not deprecated. This one you should use. So you install this and use this. So this will help us very well when we start running our CSS and most importantly our JS. Okay. So it controls the opening and closing of tags to let us know where our tags was opened and where it was closed, which tag belongs to which code block and the rest of it. So you can see it down here. So the outer curly braces are colored orange, while the inner one is colored purple, right? So that's more like what it does. It helps us in recognizing nested brackets and parentheses. Okay. All right. So the next one will be installing. I think every other one should come later. Yeah, every other one should come later. So this is like the basic that we need for now. Okay. So now after the installation, we need to go. We need to do some. And mind you, when you're done with your extension, you can click on this icon up here to go back to your file to see your files, the files you're working on down here. All right. This other button is for search. You can use it to search. You can also use it to search and replace what you've searched. So with time, you see all these things at work. So this is for our JIT. We'll still talk about our JIT, and this for our debug. But for now, let's focus on these two, our extension and our file explorer. So this is for your extension, and when you get over here, this is for our file explorer. All right. So now let's go to some settings that we'll also be looking into. So click on File. Now I have my auto save checked. All right. So what this does for me is whenever I type a text while coding, it saves my code for me without me having to click Ctrl S. All right. So you can go down here and check it yourself so that you also actually have that same functionality. All right. Although while working with live server, you might not want to do that because as you're typing out the text, it keeps displaying it until you are done typing out the full text. Then maybe it cannot recognize if it is an HTML element or probably a CSS element, or if it's just a simple text. All right. So now over here we have our preferences. So we go to preferences, come to settings, then you see our autosave. I set mine to after delay. I think you should also go ahead to do that. So I think that will be all for now. During the course of our study, we'll bump into new stores, into new shortcuts, into new settings and the rest, and you get to learn them one after the other. So this is not the course to teach VS Code, but this is like a guide to help you get started. All right. So thank you very much and see you in our next course.